name is Lulu Duwale, and I'm honored to be your MC tonight for this very significant event over the next 3 days. Before we get started, we're actually going to play the national anthem. Is an exceptional opportunity to connect, collaborate, and share knowledge across various industries, sectors, and fields. We have a remarkable lineup of speakers, and when I tell you you're in for such a treat, that's exactly what I mean. We have panel discussions and networking sessions planned, and I hope you've already started networking as the night has started, all designed to inspire innovation and cooperation among Somaliland's professionals. This summit is not only about professional collaboration and growth, but also about celebrating our very rich history and heritage and cultural appreciation. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the SLPA for organizing this summit. Give them a round of applause. And to our sponsors for their very generous support. Your contributions have made this gathering possible, and your dedication to Somaliland's progress is truly commendable. Without further ado, let's go ahead and kick off the program. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, and when I tell you he's exceptional, that's exactly what I mean. Dr. Jama Musa Jama. It's my great pleasure to introduce such a distinguished guest. As a cultural activist, Dr. Jama is a founder of the Red Sea Cultural Foundation, an organization behind Hargeysa's International Book Fair. The event has grown to become the most important literary gathering and book celebration in all of Africa, fostering a love for literature and a culture across the continent. In addition to his very many accomplishments, Dr. Jama serves as Managing Director of Hargeysa's Cultural Center in Somaliland, where he continues to contribute to the culture, intellectual life of our community. Please join me with a warm welcome to Dr. Jama Musa Jama.
ugu haweynahay salaan aan ka sido dhalinyarada Somaliland ee dalka gudihiisa ku nool ee arkay dhalinyaro lamida isku da-yihiin isku fac yihiin waxa keliya isu keenay noqdo inay isku fac yihiin Somalilandna ay dhiigooda ka mid tahay sidaa daraaddeed waxaan doonayaa Somaliland ku dhahdo inaan idinka sido salaanta dhalinyarada Somaliland oo aad iyo aad runtii ugu haweynahay SLPA iyo dhammaan dhalinyarada kale faraha badan ee dalkooda doonaysay inay wax ku celiyaan. So that Hargeysa that I used to love is the one that gave me the education that I had. It was a vibrant economy. It was independent because I felt free when I was born in that city. It was the city called it the mother of the modern art, Somali art. So it was and it still remains the mother of modern art. The poetry was the fundamental thing in Somaliland. It was a safe space, and I'm using it in the past because of many of the things that I'm saying. In the meantime, we lost. Luckily, we get back, but that's what I'm using. It was. We had beautiful theater, the most beautiful theater in the Horn of Africa at that moment. We had 2 cinema. We had, this life of cinema and connection to the real life. That was the Hargeysa that I used to love, and that I was born, and that I grew up in my early childhood. But then happened what happened. This is the Hargeysa that we came back in 1991. And here I used photos rather than telling you with words. These are the photos captured by Graham Schutz. In this case, or Patrick, another European photographer. But this is the case that in 1991 when we came back, the case that has been called the Dresden of Africa. I'm sure that you know Dresden was the German city that has been bombarded and completely destroyed. So the new Hargeisa that became still my home. It was a city that have seen the destruction, a city that have seen the war, a city that have seen the scares of the war, the value of death. All those symbols started with the mining, disarmament, quick recovery, again art, again culture, music, and a city that today generates wealth, not only for Somaliland, which is the capital, but for the entire region. So despite of what happened, that's a part of the history, the new Hargeisa that we have today is that city, that vibrant city, that business city, that busiest city that you have seen. The last point is to decolonizing the knowledge production. We have the indigenous knowledge that we used to have, whether it is about weather forecasting, whether it is every aspect of knowledge, but we unfortunately lost because of then the Western culture came, and then not only in Somaliland indigenous knowledge, but in many societies that indigenous knowledge has been lost. So I do a couple of examples, then I will conclude. I'm sure everyone who is sitting here did some mathematics at some point, at some level, and the probability, I'm sure you remember what the examples that they gave you when they were teaching mathematics, probability. The examples were the cards, or the game of cards. So that's a typical example globally given to everyone. And the calculus for those who did the advanced mathematics, when you solve, you have to resolve the Zeno's paradox. The classical example that you use is Aquila and tortoise. It's a long story, so I will not tell the whole story, but that's what they teach you. That's the example of Aquila and tortoise. They call the god of velocity and the tortoise who are running each other, and then you are giving race, and then the tortoise will win. That's why it's a paradox. So the story goes there, but imagine a young, a mother whose children come back from the school and they say they were teaching the game of cards. I don't know where that's from. So the question that I ask myself, why not use something that we own? Why not use the traditional games, whether it's a shack or a go or whatever it is, that we recognize? And the young kid who learn mathematics through those examples will feel so proud of their own culture, and they will feel that the mathematics is theirs, not something that came from outside. So this is the geometrical sum that I see that you have people who are PhD in mathematics and engineering here. And this is the example that we use it for the many years, the Aquila. And this is the example that when they didn't have still the solution to sort out the problem, I mean, a formula that resolves the problem. This is the example, the paradox that Western mathematics used. But how many of you know this story of David Webb? We were told when we were kids by our grandmothers, شكل قلبه أياشنا شبه بالوا أيوي رسول وحوي البهجة يطلقون الله. There was a poem as well. I will not recite all the poem, probably better not to do the poetry side. But quickly, if you understand the story behind this painting, you know, the family of, there's a king, in the forest, and they killed a she-camel. And the king asked the hyena to divide the meat for the family. And in our culture, hyena is the most stupid element in the family. So what he thinks is to divide, say, I divide the meat into two and half goes to you because you are the king. And then the rest, the other half goes for the entire family. Now, the king is so upset because he said, how dare you can say that the king has equal share with someone else, even though if you are many in number, and then he slaps and he kicks out the family behind the family. Then he calls the fox, which is in our culture, Shui, Tao, and it's also the most intelligent element in the family. And he said, young lady, please divide the meat for the family. And how she starts to say, my king, let's divide into two and half goes to you because you are the king. And for the rest, let us divide into two and half goes to you because you are the king. And for the rest, let us divide into two and half goes to you because you are the king. And she continues in that way. And the king understood that he takes everything for the entire she-camel. And he's so happy. Now, for our cultures, it is a moral story because of the king asked his oh, where did you learn such intelligence and such abilities to serve your king? And the focus a little bit and she says, my king, I did learn here when I saw the eye of the hyena, Ali. Ali that means if I don't give you whatever you want, you will kill me because you killed also the bigger one. So I saved you my blessing. But for me as a mathematician, have another meaning. The question is how on earth the king takes everything. And this is the formula. So the example, if I use this example in my textbooks of mathematics, where every grandmother tells their grandchildren, those who learn this form of example to sort out the problem, the family's problem of geometrical sum, instead of using this one, they will feel different. They will feel that they own this story. This is Somaliland story. My grandmother knew the mathematics, not only the mathematics of 1 plus 2, but she knows the mathematics of calculus at that level. And that's what we use. Similar things happening, you can use the game of shah. It's so sophisticated, instead of pushing your children to learn, of course, the chess, which is a family, that if they play shah, they will be more stronger in terms of level of thinking. Similar thing to Lady Gobele, or Riekadalis, as you know. This is the most I like. The story of the men who are selling camels in Burma market, and they using the most sophisticated arithmetic and mathematics touching their fingers. Why don't you use these mathematics in our schools? Teaching the same mathematics, but using the examples that they recognize within themselves. That's what I am saying, decolonizing the knowledge and using the individuals. It is so simple, starting with the mathematics, but you can apply in every subject that you have. So, to summarize, claim your own history, claim the myth, and create it. Not create it, just learn, because they are there for your own nation building. Otherwise, we will continue talking about clients if you don't build something else that people share and that people recognize with themselves. That you want, like the one that you created, an amazing idea of SLP, that we are the same family because we are professionals, not because we are in the same clinics. So that's, you have to create something alternative of our problems if you want. Localize and decolonize your own knowledge and tell a version of your story.
About tomorrow because we have so much more in store for you. Tomorrow is our main event, and I'm excited about it. Just want to let you know a little bit about what we have planned for you tomorrow. The doors open promptly at 8 o'clock, but we're going to start at 9, so make sure you get here early. Get your seats, get prepared. And then at 9:15, we have the State of the Nation panel with Dr. Usman Sheikh Ahmed and Dr. Edna Adnan, moderated by Yasin Arzi. And then from 10 to around 12 o'clock, we have a lot of breakout sessions, including panels talking about education, politics, and everything in between, so you definitely don't want to miss out on that to be able to connect with individuals and get a wealth of information and knowledge. And then after that, we have lunch, and then we have a brief chat with Jonathan Starr, who's going to share a lot of information with us, so you definitely don't want to miss that. And then we have our keynote with Dr. Edna Adnan. I cannot wait for that, y'all. You definitely don't want to miss it. And then we'll do a brief recap, and then we'll close out at 3 p.m. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. You guys are so beautiful. I'm glad that we were able to connect. I'm so interested in what we do tomorrow and how we build and continue building for one another. Inshallah, we make it home safely, and we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Thank you so much. Day 2 of the SLPA Conference in Unity. I'm so excited to see you guys here today. Yesterday was amazing, wasn't it? Yes. Shout out to Dr. Farah and Faiza for not only a lesson in history and heritage, but also for that amazing panel. If you were excited about yesterday, I promise you we have so much in store for you today. We are so excited. We have breakout sessions for you. You're going to have so much information, knowledge, but most importantly, you're going to have connections, lifelong connections, inshallah. My name is Lula Durale, and I'll be your MC again for today. To kick off our program, we are starting with a panel that is crucial and beneficial to all of us, the State of the Nation panel, and it's a great one, y'all. This panel will provide a comprehensive overview of our current status, our challenges, and the incredible opportunities that lie ahead. Please join me in welcoming our panelists and our moderator. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Ambassador Bashir Gold couldn't join us today, but we're thinking of him. But to introduce our moderator and our panelists, our moderator will be Yasin Arzi. Our panelists will be Dr. Usman Sheikh Ahmed and Dr. Edna Adnan. Thank you so much.
My name is Edna Adnan Ismaili. That's all I can say about me. I'm talkative, so be ready. I will pass the mic on to Dr. Usman, who's a great person. Thank you.
Thank you, Edna. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I'm Usman Sheikh Ahmed. I spent half of my time in Hargeisa, Somaliland, and half of my time in Washington. Shutting between the two, I'm an advisor to the president, economic advisor to the president, and worked with the World Bank and a few other places. Really looking forward to just sharing some ideas and thoughts with you today.
Thank you very much. So to start the conversation, I would like both of our panelists to share their perspective and experience about Somaliland. I'll start with Dr. Edna, and I want him to give us a brief overview of Somaliland from 1960 to today.
Many people don't know about Somaliland. They hear about Somalia, and when we say we're from Somaliland, they get confused because nobody has taken the trouble to explain to them who we are. Somaliland is that country there, former British Somaliland Protectorate, neighbor to former French Somaliland, la Côte Française des Somalie, French colony of Somaliland. Then you have La Somalia Italiana, which was one of the 3 Italian colonies in the Horn of Africa, in Africa. There was Somalia, Eritrea, and Libya. These were the 3 Italian colonies in Africa. Now, British Somaliland Protectorate, by the name that you Protectorate, means that we were never colonized. Somaliland was always a sovereign country. We had a treaty of protection with Great Britain. So, we were not born yesterday, we were not born in 1960, we were not born in 1991. We are the country where people from the Far East would trade with Africa through the port of Zayla, the port of Berbera, and that was the entry to the Red Sea. And when we, as Somalilanders, don't speak about our country and tell the world who we are, then the world for the past 64 years, or the past 33 years, has believed that Somalilanders were part of Somalia. And of course we're not. Now, how did this confusion start? Being the older country, being the senior country that got independent in 1960, we waited for Italian Somalia to also become independent, and since we were independent first, we are the senior partner. And it is Somalia that has united with us. We did not unite with them, they joined us. And we all remember, maybe you don't, but your parents remember. In 1969, there was the military, Marxist, communist coup d'etat. Siad Barre came to power. Siad Barre flattened the economy at that time, closed the schools, closed the hospitals in Somaliland, everything moved to Mogadishu. Those who had a voice and said, hey, what's going on? Were put in jail, sent to exile. And for 21 years, Siad Barre ruled the country, Somaliland and Somalia together. From 1982, after the war with Ethiopia, that Somalia had that major war with Ethiopia, with all the communist military hardware floating in the country, the tanks, the Russian MiGs, the Kalashnikovs, the weapons, the bazookas, and whatever people fight with, the country was awash with military hardware. And what did they do? From 1982 to 1991, those military weapons were used against the people of Somaliland. And that was the major massacre of 250,000 of our people. That's what brought your parents here. They didn't come here on a holiday. They didn't come here just for the summer. They came because they ran away with their lives. So we were probably babies. Many of you were born in the United States or in other countries that gave shelter to your families, to your parents. And thank goodness your mothers carried you, your fathers carried you. Sometimes on their backs, sometimes on wheelbarrows, sometimes dragged you by the arms, but they escaped with their lives. So they could take you to Europe, they could take you to America, they could take you to Canada, they could take you to anywhere where you could be given shelter.
Thank you very much, Dr. Edna, for that passionate speech. I don't cry that often, but every time that she speaks, she makes me want to cry. Amen. So, thank you very much.
Just say Alhamdulillah. We're alive. Glad to be in the day.
Usually when a country emerges from a war, the world comes to them and helps them. I used to work in the World Bank for a long time. Post-conflict countries were countries we would go to and not only provide direct support from the World Bank and others, but have round-table meetings of all the donors, and then people would pledge billions of dollars to reconstruct those countries. For Somaliland, there was no such thing. Everything was done by the people of Somaliland, relying partly on the remittances of the diaspora. Every Somalilander, and there was a fraction of what is here today, would be able to put their pockets and took every cent they had and sent it there. That was the basis not only for sustaining them during the time when they were refugees in Ethiopia, 3 years, but when they came back and started reconstructing. The reconstruction is ongoing, but remarkable, a remarkable journey. The future is bright. We can build on what we have, but there are problems for sure. Unemployment is very high. Poverty is there, including IDPs. Many of them left rural areas because of climate change and environmental degradation. Came to the cities, lost their livestock, or subsistence farming wasn't enough to sustain them. So those are poverties there. Inequalities on the rise. There are segments of the society, and I have to give you the whole picture from every side. Inequality is also high. There are very wealthy people now, but there are a lot of very poor people, so the income inequality is also high. But we have got the potential to move forward. The resources that are there are tremendous. The country has huge mineral resources. The whole Goris range is full of very valuable minerals, which we will one day exploit or develop, sorry, not exploit, develop. We have the 850 kilometers of pristine coast with huge fisheries potential. One of the most promising sectors in the world is what they call blue economy, around the coasts and in the sea. There is a lot of activity going on worldwide. That is a very large area with a lot of resources, including underground petroleum in the sea and of course on the land. The livestock and agriculture which we have has tremendous potential, but the way we use them needs to change, and there are now steps to do that. Instead of exporting live animals to Saudi Arabia mainly, and sometimes they stop, you can cut the meat, package them, send them to far-off places. People who like organic and lean meat, for example, instead of relying on one importer who might cut you at any moment, which they do. You can develop the value chain from the animal all the way down, leather industries, purses, shoes, and so on and so forth. Agriculture, huge land. Somaliland has more, bigger area than England. England, the way you put together, it's larger than that. 5.5 million people. Tremendous space to do all kinds of things with.
السلام عليكم. magacaygu waa Fuad. waxaan ka markaan wadankii joogno waxaan u taqaan reer geesaan reer Burcaan laakiin markaan qurbaha joogno we have to supposed to say Somaliland baan helay. Hadda ayaa su'aal weydiinaya. Intaad joogtay wasaaradda arrimaha dibadda wax badan baa qabatay. Muhiimadda ugu weyn waxa weeye xagga siyaasadda iyo loobigii arrimaha dibadda. waxaad moodaa inaan u baahan nahay xoojin fara badan. intii aad joogtay wax badan baa ku soo dhaqdhaqaaq badan baad samaysay. maxaad nala soo jeedinaysaa qolooyinka kaa dambeeyay iminka wasaaradda arrimaha dibadda jooga ama kuwa soo socdaba? talabaadna waxa weeye sidee ay u qeexnaan karaysaa wasaaraddeena arrimaha dibaddu halkaan ku doonayno iyo dadkeenu wax ka doonayno iyo sideen u socono badnaasanta.
وزارة أربعة دبي ما عند ما رسكت في بداية تداول مرة من الممارية شيء محمرية سيد ميتك رفع راسه محمرية سيد حكمت له بالآلية سيد ما تطلع واحدة محل مرية سيد دورسة تستور راسه مية محل مرية سيد محلته سيد دولة راسه sida wasaaradda loo dhisaa sida nabadgelyo loo helaa sida ciidan loo sameeyaa sida disarmament loogu sameeyaa maleeshiyadeena waxay ahayd sida xisbiya loo sameeya marba meel baa la marayay markaa la marayay sida dadka loo dejiyaa meel may ahayn wasaaradda arrimaha dibadda ma shaqaynay markay ahayd sida dastuur loo sameeyaa markii referendum la sameynayay wasaaradda markaa unun bay ahayd marxalad dagaalku marba meel buu maraya aqoonsigu wuxuu ku yimaadaa marka cidda ku aqoonsanaysa wixii ay kugu aqoonsan lahayd aad ka dhaadhiciso.
No, the Europeans got from us. And I'm like, I'm thinking about a project that I witnessed in Toronto. I don't know if some of you have heard about it back home, called Gashanti Unity. Yeah. So I'm thinking of this as an example of other ways in which we can foster education, mentorship and support, and bridging the gaps between those who are back home and those who are in diaspora, right? Because we all have knowledge production, we all have something to contribute, and we should also be actively collaborating with each other. I want to give this as an example. This was a program that I actually joined when I was 19 or 20 years old in Toronto. It's called Gashanti Unity, and a group of sisters who got together, got government, government, federal, provincial, and local funding on all three levels to find ways to teach young Somali women across the city of Toronto leadership skills. There were also programs that were embedded, such as photography skills. So, right? But then it transitioned from a project being in diaspora to one being in collaboration with those who were back in Hargeisa. So we started to do exhibits that were occurring in Hargeisa as well as Toronto, getting Somali photographers or Somali students who are learning photography in Toronto and Hargeisa, learning together, somehow collaborating, and then having this joint exhibit, right? And there was of course politics with when these exhibits occurred. Not everyone who was living in Hargeisa could come to Toronto and witness it, nor could everyone living in Toronto go to Hargeisa and witness it as well too. But these are small ways I want to point out that we can begin these projects as well too. It doesn't really take a lot to apply for like a city or a local grant. It really, I'm not minimizing it, but if you ever want to talk to somebody about grant writing, happy to talk to you about that or put you in the right direction. These are small ways that we can foster community bridges, because there's so much enriching work happening clearly at home, and there's so much happening in diaspora. And to be Somali today is not border specific. We're across the globe. So how are we connecting each other?
Yeah, I think both of you explained very well. There are a couple of different ways you could go back and give back. And when I'm saying go back, like you don't even have to be there in person. Like 2 days ago, I got a call from one of my friends, Saeed. He graduated from Mars University in New York. Saeed and his brother, I used to tutor him at the Barso when he was at Hargeisa Orphanage tutoring program. And today, 2 weeks ago, he graduated a great university in New York. Today, students from that program we used to run at the Barso Hargeisa Orphanage tutoring program all around the world. A lot of them have won one of the best scholarships in the world, United Way College, UWC, which accepts students, top-notch school students in one of the best schools in Japan and a lot of countries in Europe as well. At that time when I was tutoring, I was a high school student. I had classes at the Barca from 7 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. And then we have to take a bus from Barca to Hargeisa, almost like 45, 50 minutes. And then we provide the books, the pencils. And besides teaching them how to read and write, one of the other jobs was how can I convince them that they could have a beautiful future, that one day when they look back, they could say, hey, that was me yesterday and today, anything is possible.
We create, as Saha, our mission, our plan is to live the life, our people, poor people, can have accessible health care, that they can get education, they can get insulin, they can get blood pressure medication for free. With your help, we are just created here. Our mission, one day, Somali which means if you try your best, your mission, no matter it's today or tomorrow, or when I gone, your generation is here, you can reach where we want to reach. Our people will not die early because of they have comatose because of insulin deficiency. So let's go to the next one, Somaliland. Somaliland, the people who population, they estimate, maybe it's more than a little bit less than, the estimation is 5.7 million. Okay. For 5.7 million people that we have our country, the budget of federal budget is only 400 million US a year. And the portion of that healthcare is only 6%, which is 24 million for 6 regions of Somaliland. That is not enough. If we compare that, the hospital I work, it's one hospital in America. Next slide. They spend 5.1 billion a year for healthcare, for that one, which is 902 bed. That's what they spend. We cannot, I'm not comparing that, but I'm gonna give you an idea.
The first thing you want to do is just be excellent at what you do, right? And so you pick a lane, you become an expert in that field. In my case, in 2018, I went back to Somaliland, and it was a revelation. This was the only place I've ever seen where 99% of the cars were uninsured. People had no health insurance. You know, we have all these goods that are coming from, you know, all over the world, and things are getting lost at sea. You know, people are coming and saying, I lost $300,000 worth of goods. They were uninsured. They could have been insured for $500 or $1,000. And so because I had a background in insurance and I had sort of built some expertise in that, I said, okay, well, maybe this is my opportunity. This is my lane to get back to the country.
So the thing parent, as a parent we have is like, we feel like the doctors is charging the insurance, they want money. So or somebody will say, oh, they charge me this, or they tell me I have this disease and they lie. So it's trust issue. We never get used to a doctor back home. That daily we go, like you guys born here, you go this every year seeing a doctor. But as a parent, we never saw a doctor back home We never went to dentist. So when we come here and we see the physician, and maybe the physician will say, oh, something wrong with you, we think the physician is here to get the money from the insurance. So it's like mistrust. So you guys need to understand us. Because we never saw a doctor before. So that's why, and we tell each other, as a parent or as older, they tell each other, oh, this doctor give me this medicine, I get sick, this, so it's the news. Instead of saying social media, parent social media is so I'm sorry, but just, we have to trust you. So just teach us, because this is new.
Someone called me a few days ago, and just going back to the problem-solving aspect, they were like, I want instant money transfer, like bank-to-bank money transfer, and it's not, like, we can't do that right now in Somaliland. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a problem. How do we fix it? Like, can we solve this? So it was literally just a few days ago, they were like, yeah, like my mom wants to go to the bank, and she wants to transfer, like, instantly money from her one account to another account, and they don't have, I'm like, yeah, like, in America, you can do this so easily, like, but in Somaliland, you can't. So, like, just getting that conversation started and thinking through, like, how can we actually solve this? Like, what resources do I have right now that I can solve it? Figuring out that problem, and then it's like thinking through, like, okay, like, what technology can I use to solve it? And anyways, but just wanted to add that because it's really interesting. It's like there's so many unique problems that we can solve right now, and I think just if there's a solution right now for that problem that I mentioned that we can bring back to Somalia, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring up one more point. You know, the beauty of technology is that it's a tool used to connect people. Like, I think also Dr. Omar said that there was Zahad payments, so there's always that bridge to fill, you know, and to connect us and to fulfill. So technology is beautiful. It's very flexible. You know, you can help in any way imaginable with technology.
I come from a U.S.-Africa foreign policy background. I've now transitioned into tech policy, but I had a question. What are like your top 5 tactics for lobbying, like actionable recommendations that you can give for people that want to get more involved in civic engagement? Like, what are the top things in your toolkit? And then secondly, how has technology helped advance your goals in terms of civic engagement, or on the hopefully not negative side, help deter that? And I say this because I work at WhatsApp and I do policy, so interested to see how you leverage social media to advance your goals.
Definitely not organized on the ground. We're falling behind the digital vibe online. So one thing I think about when we're thinking about AI and ChatGPT, for me, when I was working for the labor union, SEIU, actually, what we used to have, one thing that we could focus on, right? Because I think that we need one plan, one strategy. Let's do a day of action. Let's pick a day, let's pick a hashtag, let's post photos, let's protest, let's go out in our different cities. Wallahi, I'm not lying to you, you can get over 1 million impressions online. When people see that, they're gonna say, hey, how can I come to the next event? I see people organizing and I wanna be a part of it. I know it works, I know it's effective, so for me, it's like, how do we build that? You and I could talk after the panel to see how we can do that. You working at WhatsApp is exactly where we are, every single day. So let's focus on that. Bring the work that you're doing to us as a community, and we're gonna do the same in return.
And so, we talked about like family, so did y'all have any familial pressure to kind of be in a certain field, or just maybe some pushback? I know I had a lot of pushback from my family. My father, he had an MBA, and also, my mom was just really big on education, right? And so they wanted me to either be a lawyer or a doctor. Luckily, I could not do that. So, and my sister, she's definitely the doctor in the field. And so I just felt like I always had to kind of speak up for myself around like my passions, even though I had all this familial pressure around making sure that I just had the most prestigious career in the field.
I accepted a role that was a promotion into a business manager 2. The role completely changed as soon as I took it. They were like, okay, we no longer need this functionality. We actually need you to get into risk and governance. I had no background in that. And so it was terrifying for me because I kind of mastered this other track and I was so good at it. and they were challenging me to upskill myself into a whole nother line of business. And so I didn't really know what I was capable of until I was put into that position. And when that happened, I really blossomed unexpectedly. And so, I ended up taking on a team. I ended up, exceeding expectations for that year. I ended up, a lot of really great opportunities came out of that. I got a promotion, things like that. So, and it was just under a year, right? And so I'd been in business support management for so long, and it was kind of one-track-minded of me to think to stay there, that one pivot that I made completely changed the trajectory. And so I would say to you, just challenge yourself and be open to new opportunities, because you never know, it might be the best thing that happens to you.
Looking back in your life is the point where you're like, oh, this is a greater plan, was Allah's plan, ultimately. And I thought at that point, for example, I'll give you an example. So after my master's, I was like, I was the nerd. I was pre-med, so I had like a 4.0 GPA in undergrad and a 4.0 GPA, and I'm not saying this to brag, but so I went to Hopkins and I graduated with my master's, and I thought, I'm saying this to say that I thought I did everything right, but again, like you, where after I graduated, and I thought I'm gonna find a job just like that, and it took me a long time because I found myself in this weird area that I didn't understand then, where I have a master's, so I am overqualified for certain positions, but I had no work experience because all I did was go to school, and so I was underqualified for certain positions. So I'm in that weird in between, and so it took me 9 months, and I was like, but I did everything right. I worked hard, I got good grades, and so I found a job, and it was a compromising kind of settling job. What it was, I lived in Gaithersburg, Maryland, for those who know the DMV, and I worked in Alexandria, Virginia. So that was a 2-hour commute every single morning for an entire year. But that was the only job at that point that I could find. But if it wasn't for that job, I wouldn't have kept looking. I wouldn't have gotten that other job that kind of opened a lot of experiences. Because if I found my dream job in the United States at that point, I wouldn't have kept applying and taking risks. So that was ultimately, Allah's plan. And since then, every decision I make, I pray istikhara. Doesn't mean that you're not nervous, but I keep repeating like a mantra. There's the hadith of istikhara says that those who pray istikhara, in Arabic we say, ma nadama man istikhara. So people who pray istikhara don't regret. So even if that you get these little doubts, I keep repeating istikhara, you don't regret. This is ultimately Allah's plan. Even when you see it and you think this is not I didn't think it was gonna be this way. Ultimately, you look back and it's like, you know what? I thought it was horrible, but it was the right path.
In a new environment, find people who have similar journeys as you, whether those are other immigrants, other black employees, or Muslim, or if you can find Somalis, that's a big plus. But try to find other communities and eventually try to help out the next generation that's coming after you. Because in a way, you can all be mentors to. There are other Somalis back home that can benefit from the skills that you guys have now, whether you are in high school or just starting out college. So.
And I was doing a little internship there. And I was working with a class, a cohort of people who were getting their high school exam, which is basically a GED. And I was tutoring the students that were there, about 12 different students. And after we completed the class and the students took the exam and they graduated, I remember asking some of them, what do you want to do? You should go to college. Because there were some intelligent, brightest students that I've met. And they told me, no, I think I'll be fine. And then I was like, no, you should really go to college. You have the opportunity to continue education. They looked at me like, why aren't you in college? And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, that's a fair point. It was kind of to put that seed in me to be the example, to actually lead, and to show other people that you can overcome those hurdles and be able to continue education. From there, that's when I enrolled into college. And I feel like for me, throughout my journey, I've always been able to meet people and meet mentors.
And then we can work actually real life problems right there. You can start your business while actually, it doesn't take a lot, right? Once you know exactly what you want, you can put a post right now on your Facebook post and say, hey, if you have this problem, I have this solution. You want to get on a call with me right now? Here's my calendar link or Zoom link or whatever. a lot of people will actually, you will surprise how many people actually have the same problems that you have the solution for, and they will say, yeah, I have, can you help me with this? You can do it for free for few of them, or you can charge them very little to get started, to get experience, or you can charge them really money. You can charge them $5,000. You will be surprised how many people actually will pay you for the things you know. I never thought it was possible, but actually it is. A lot of people are in pain, and you put a lot of time in. You put in a lot of hours. You put in a lot of schooling and real life experience. So a lot of people actually will say, you know what, I don't want to spend the 10 years you spend in your field. Can you just do this quickly within a year? And you say, okay, fine, this is my fee. And a lot of people will actually take up on that.
You make a product, you have to get it to come to the States. So now you have to put it on a boat, ship it, and then now you're worried about you're worrying about all these things, and then it has to go through customs, and then once it makes it through customs, you have to inspect each of the product that you made. And for the first batch that we made 5,000 bottles for the first batch. I think about 1,000 of those weren't usable, they were bad. So now we're down to 4,000 bottles. So it's not, we have to go back to the manufacturer, and it's 30 to 60 days to completely make this, and then you have to add another month for the boat shipment to get to the States. So I don't wish that on anybody. I just go digital, man. It's a lot easier, in my opinion.
هذا الجامع كسر دوو لوجو ورن مانتا حفلتنا كسر قيب كشيء واحد هيسان مانتا
عبد الله أدبكو سلام يا أديك يو SPLA تيم كوردن حنكو سوغنا أتلانتا جورجيا الحمد لله شركة ومالتي لباد وحويان شركة قيمة وهذا في عن هل كان مانتا سيلو كله وحنا كغيب قادنا سيدي dadka isugu yimid dhalinyarta cid kasta uga qayb qaadan lahayd Somaliland Community Center-ka laga dhisayo Edmonton waa center weyn oo doonayno inuu noqdo Somaliland Community Center-kii ugu horeeyay ee adduunka laga dhiso ee dadka reer Somaliland ay dhistaan soo markaa waxaan ku encourage gareynayaa cid kasta oo halkan joogta iyo adduunka dacaladiisaba inay ka qayb qaataan oo ay kaga qayb qaataan GoFundMe-gaasi waxaa la yidhahdaa Somaliland Community Center Edmonton oo ay organize garanaysaa organizationka Horn Youth Services Foundation waa charity organization Somaliland community ka dhisan Edmonton.
miiska saaran isagana wax ma nooga sheegi kartaa?
Yes, this book is about, the title is The New Black Awakening, and basically what I'm trying to share with our young and anybody is that Africa in general, and especially East Africa, is vibrant for investment, for its people to return back and to harness the resources that have not been harnessed yet, for the young African Americans, Somaliland Americans, and everybody who has interest in building Africa.
waxaan hadda u imid cali ducaale ku soo dhawow ma noo sheegi kartaa buugaagtan meesha yaala iyo maanta waxaad meesha ka qabanaysaan?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, of course. Soomaali baan ku sheegay bas Ingiriis baan.
labadaba ka jeceshay.
buugani meesha kusoo bandhigana wuxuu yahay buug taariikhi ah ka hadlaya dhalinyartii u sabab ahaa Somaliland waxay tahay hadda waa dhalinyartii isku taagay maaragtay xukunkii dictatoriga ahaa Siyaad Barre 1982 markii dhalinyartii uu maxkamadda la saarayay dhalinyartii uu kacday oo dagaalantay mudaharaadkii uu sameeyey kadibna loo xidhay qaarkood lagu xukumay dil 7 ka mid lagu xukumay in fact mid ka mid la dilayba 8 lagu xukumay xabsi daayin 5 kalena lagu xukumay xarig tirale buugu wuxuu ku bilaabayaa taariikhda Somaliland inta colonial ka hor ilaa iyo tii taariikhdaas maaragtay dhalinyartaas la xidhay 20 ka arday dhalinyaro sheekooyinkoodii personal storieskoodii ayaa ku qoran oo mid walba ama isagii laga qoray ama familieskoodii laga qoray waa intaas way buugani istaabsiin
ما شاء الله buugaagtan xagee laga heli karaa online
hadda soo dirtay emailka dhimbiishi halkanka @gmail.com haween waliin soo email garan karaya insha Allah.
If you buy one, it goes to a GoFundMe.
Okay.
No, and he said he saw me here. Anywhere.
Contribute a verse. And you can. And Edna has. And so many people have done it. But it takes a tremendous commitment. So what are things you can do? You can teach. We've talked about this. Abarso needs teachers. We need teachers in the schools we set up in Columbus and in other places in Minnesota. We need teachers in these places, and you can be those people. Does that mean you're going to have a career in teaching? No. It means you can give all of yourself for a year, or 2 years, or 3 years, and feel like students gain from it, and you'll gain from it too. It doesn't only help them, you will feel it too. You could say, well, I'm kind of beyond teaching. I'm a professional. Great. Lead. Go back to Somaliland or do it with one of the schools we're involved with here. People need to run them. I didn't come from the education world originally. Harry, who runs Abarso, all of it didn't come from the education world originally. We figured it out, but we knew how to lead. We knew how to make a project succeed. There's so many opportunities for that here and in Somaliland. And then I'd say, what else can you do? You can transform your community. How did this Columbus school come together? It happened because a Somali who knew me well in Boston said, I got to connect you to the Dahab Shield guy, Abdi Rahim, who runs Dahab Shield really for the country, but in Columbus. And I talked to him and met Badri, who's a wonderful guy, for those of you who know Badri Jamale. And they said, we need one a school like this. And we work together, and they kind of get the community together, and we do all the educational pieces. And what do you know? We have a school starting about 14 months after originally talking to them. So these things can happen. But they need people who say, I want this in name your city, and I'm going to put the people together.
Another round of applause for Jonathan Starr. Thank you for your contribution and your wisdom. Now, something that I think all of us have been waiting for. I'm super excited and I've been looking forward to it. It's my great pleasure to introduce our next distinguished guest and a personal icon and legend to me, and I know an inspiration to us all. Dr. Edna Allen is a renowned nurse, midwife, and activist. She is the founder of the Edna Allen University Hospital in Hargeisa, a facility dedicated to improving maternal health and infant health, and providing a high-quality medical education in Somaliland. Her tireless work in healthcare and women's rights has earned her international acclaim, and I know it amongst us here in this room as well. Please join me and rise to welcome Dr. Edna Allen.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ilaahay waa ummadda khayr u ah khayr ka soo saar. Wax cid kale aan doonayno, laakiinse wixii ummadda Somaliland khayr u ah, dan u ah, Ilaahay nagu hoggaan waa khayr ka soo saar. When people always ask me, what inspired you to build a hospital? And this takes me back to 1951, 52. Maybe your parents would have been born at that time. And I happened to be on holiday from Djibouti, where I went to school because there were no schools for girls in Somaliland. And I was on holiday to spend with my parents, and my father, Abu Nakhtar, was working in Ergao at that time. And there was a very bad drought, and he was looking after Bran, Ergabo, I don't know, he was traveling around a lot, and he was running a hospital, looking after people affected by the drought. There was the MRTC, there was a very bad drought at that time. So he was doing so much more than one single person could do. And very often I would go to the hospital to give him a hand. I was about 14, 13. I didn't know anything about health. But at least I could roll bandages, I could wash bandages, I could wash instruments, I could feed a child, I could get somebody, I could do little tasks for him. And very often I heard him say, oh, I wish I had a better pair of scissors. I wish I had, he would be wishing for things he did not have in a hospital, which are basic instruments and things to work with. And I just made a mental note that one day I would build a kind of hospital that would have these instruments and where my father would be able to perform and treat his patients better than he was able to at that time. So the seed of building the hospital was born in my heart in Erigabo, and I owe that a lot. And that's why a few years ago I went to train the first 30 graduate nurse midwives for Erigabo. In 91, what was I? I was a young 54, 55-year-old, but then down the road I would be retiring. And I thought, what am I going to do? I could retire in England where my mother lived, my sisters, and my kids, her kids. I could go to France. I love France. I love French because French was my first foreign language. France had already decorated me with a Legion of Honor. Qu'est-ce qui parle français ici? Et ben voilà, j'ai la Légion d'honneur. I think I was probably the first Somali or whatever to have the Légion d'honneur. Great honor. And I need to go home. I need to go home because that's where I belong. I would die of boredom if I had to sort of, go and take a walk in Hyde Park and feed the ducks. Sit on a lawn and do my crossword puzzles, and what would I do? Go and play bridge, find an old people's home where I could play, I don't know, bingo. What would I do? I need to go home. But how? So before I went home, I built my father's house. That was destroyed. Built Dad's house, built the family house, and said, okay, whatever I do with whatever I have is my business. I can blow it on a hat, I can blow it on a yacht, I can blow it on a hospital. So that's it. So I bought my freedom, retired, sold everything I had, anything anybody could buy or be interested, I sold, and came home. And said, I'm going to train people. I'm going to do something about that goat. I cannot have my people in the care of a goat. Now, I want all of you who have medical backgrounds to look at that goat, and I hope it inspires you as much as it did me. And if you're happy with your relatives, your family, your people, your friends, your country, to be, well, it's not like that now, by the way. It's not like that. But there's a lot that needs to be done. There's so much more that needs to be done. And it's for you, every single one of you, to have that little light in your heart to say, I will make a contribution. I will try to change something for the better, in whichever way I can. I may teach, I may donate a piece of equipment, I may go out there and volunteer for a month or two, I may support somebody who's training to become a nurse or a doctor or a midwife. I will contribute somehow. And that's what we did. And that's what we got. It's not the bricks and mortar. You give me this and say, okay, take this is a hospital. I need nurses, I need doctors, I need lab technicians. I need health professionals. It's not the building that's going to do the job. It's the people, it's the hands, it's the skills, it's the hearts. So I started training. This is in Berbera. Those tiles are in the old hospital that was built by the British. And that's where my father worked once. So to be able to teach people in a hospital where my father once worked is a great honor. and it's a great blessing.
Please welcome to the stage SAHA's Board Vice President and Secretary, Dr. Shamake Manu.
Nimro Taha. She is a third year internal medicine resident. She practices literally 2 blocks from here, Grady Hospital. She's right here a student, and she's a local from Atlanta. But we also have Dr. Ayan Moore, who is the Chief Medical Officer at the U.S. State Department, another Somalilander. So you can see that Ayan's right here. So we have doctors who are now in training to a Chief Medical Officer, and we are all trying to improve the healthcare in Somalia. How are we going to do that? Workforce development. In 2021, SAHA has delivered a software called UpToDate in Somaliland. We provide that to all the physicians and medical students with the help of Harvard University. We also do CME, Continual Medical Education, annually. We did the first convention in 2021 in Hargeisa, hosted by University of Hargeisa. In 2022, we did in Burro, hosted by University of Burro. Last year, we did in Amud University, and last year, it was the first time we get an accreditation to provide an actual continual medical education certificate approved by the American Academy of Family Physicians. This year, July 23rd to July 25th, we're doing it at the University of Hargeisa, hosted by the University of Hargeisa. What is unique about the CME in Somaliland, and the CME that SAHA does, the speakers are all Somalilanders, period.
Ethiopia, the birr is 50% the official exchange rate. It's 50% higher than the free market. You pay 110 birr for $1 in the free market, but the government says you pay only 50 birr so that's a huge devaluation, effective devaluation. Even in Kenya, the same thing. So for a country that really doesn't have that much power and somewhat strangulated somewhat by the lack of recognition, we have done well in all spheres, including trading and exchange rate. But we can do more, and the potential is there. What I could say to all of you is, let us focus on a couple practical things which we can do. Just as a suggestion, without much discussion with anybody, we can form a small core group from SLPA. That group will follow up how we can start lobbying and promoting Somaliland's recognition and countering the negative propaganda. Many of us will be willing and ready to work with them, but to have an anchor would be very important. If we leave here without having some specific actionable steps, it would be good thought that we heard and felt good about ourselves, and there might not be much result. That is one suggestion I can make. I hope we can enjoy tonight. It's a beautiful night.
I heard y'all trying to turn up, so I'm gonna make this quick. All right, for those of you who do not know about the Move Foundation, it is committed to improve health, education, and the general well-being of society in Somaliland. And I'll go into more details about that in a moment. Me, myself, I've been volunteering with the Move since the 90s, since I was a kid. I didn't have much of a choice. But now, I have no problem doing it, seeing all these beautiful faces and people love. Some of the things that Move is doing currently, they are sending 6 containers to Somaliland, 3 of which will be medical supplies, the other 3 will be educational materials that will be targeted to libraries throughout Somaliland.
So today we wanted to really highlight our sponsors. Without them, today would never, and tonight, this whole weekend, wouldn't have been able. So please, we will say the names, and at the end, please give a round of applause. Saeed Duale. Umea Silano. Dr. Ali Yusuf. Dr. Monica Preston.
Riyadh Foundation, Adam, thank you very much.
Mohammed Gulad.
Dr. Osman, thank you again one more time.
Dr. Saeed Noor.
Ahmed Mahdi, thank you very much. Ahmed Ilaye. Sulaiman Habu.
And Horn of Africa Insurance.
اليوم دكتور عيسى أنتي والنيشن.
These are our champion sponsors, Atlanta Community. Thank you so much. There is no, we are indebted to you. So mashallah for what you've done. Abaso, Namzino Learning Labs, the California Community, Khartoum, for St. Isa, Nima Atore, the North Carolina Community, Saeed Duala and Selangor Foundation. Our legacy sponsor today is Dahab Shield. Telesom, Amud Relief and Development, and Saha. So shout out also to the organizers. There's a lot of people in Dalian around that have been doing, I think, about more than 50 organizers. So clap it up for yourselves. This was an amazing feat.
We had 40 organizers from all over the country. We never met each other, but we've been working together for 6 months. Actually 8 months since October. So shout out to all of you guys. You know who you are.
There is an Outstanding Leader Award. This person is a brother to me. He has been pivotal for the success of SLPA. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. He has been doing amazing efforts in terms of fundraising, collaboration, community development. I mean, it's just, my words are not enough.
He's the glue for SLPA.
Yes. So I want you to make sure that you give a very warm and astounding clap for Issa Bass.
Isa one more time. صعبكي يا مشحرة.
Okay, well, the PowerPoint already told you guys the next person.
One of the most hardworking women. Without her, none of this would have been possible. I'm intimidated by her. Why? Because she's so prompt, assertive, and I'm inspired by her. Señora, please come up here.
Highlight our distinguished guests of tonight, Dr. Adna Adam. Osman Chef Ahmed, Deputy Ambassador Yasmin, and City Councilor Member Saeed Jama, Mustafa Saeed, Senator from Oregon, Dr. Casey Jama, Dr. Jama Musa Jama. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Jama Musa Jama. Abdurrahman, Mursal Musa, and poet Khalid Mino.
I'll say it one more time. Deputy Health Minister Liban Yusuf from Hargeisa. Give him another round of applause. Finally, the most important award tonight. This is someone that is close to our heart, someone that we look up to, and someone that we've been all inspired by.
This person is a legend. We have a legend among us. So, please rise to your feet for the Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Dr.
Adna Adam صعبكي ومشحرة. حلها صعبتها القليل الجيد. أبوان تقاضي إدياري وخالد. هلو استاذة. صعبكي مشحرة أدنى هلا يصير. هيا أدنى أنا وايد. أنا صعب كي مشحرتها. أنا مشحرة اللي قبلها يا دمانتي إنك تصور التعبان على مدى الصومالي لأن كل عضو الشعب هيسي الصومالي لأن فضلني مرسلة إلى الجنة على صورة لساي وقع
They not like us. 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 They not like us.
Shahrazad. I'm a product policy manager at WhatsApp. I think this is such an amazing and fantastic weekend. There's not many spaces where young Somali working professionals can connect, come together and expand our network. So I'm grateful for the SLPA for organizing this, and inshallah excited to see many more events where we can not only build community but really like ideate on critical topics impacting us, whether that's to mental health, to entrepreneurship, to civic engagement.
xafladan waxaan anu oran karaa waa tii ugu wanaagsanay ee ay soo qaban qaabiyaan dhalinyar reer Soomaaliland ka soo jeeda waa dhalinyartii halkan ku dhalatay ama halkan ku kortay si fiican bay u soo qaban qaabiyeen habeenkii horeysay waxay ahayd habeenkii dhaqanka la soo xiranayay dawaana dadka badankood dhaqankaas waxay soo dhamaayeen dadka ay soo casuumeen adna iyo jaamac muuse jaamac ay ka mid yihiin iyo Dr. Usman Sheikh waxay ahaayeen panelkii ugu wanaagsanaa iyo information-ka siiyeen kala wax kaaga sadam dhalinyartan yar yar sida isku jecel yihiin ay isku soo dhaweyn isku wada barteen muuse inay is yaqaaneen qarni mid kasta marka la isku sheego ay isku dhagayeen waxaan qabaanu labeentii Soomaaliland halkan ay maanta jooga bay tahay
Lula, what do you think how the event went?
Alhamdulillah, better than I could ever expect. This was just a small idea of people who came together and organized. When they reached out to me, the first thing I thought about is how could I be of service? And the fact that I could be an MC for an event this massive, wallahi, it makes my heart swell. And I'm excited to see what I could do next.
Guys, my name's Hassan Hussein from Washington, D.C. area. SLPA member, organizer, man, programmer, helping this event, great event in Atlanta. My thoughts on the event, I couldn't ask for a better event. Bringing the community together, seeing everybody, mashallah, from all walks of life, Seattle, Ohio, Toronto. Everyone keep SLPAs to bring people together. And I think this event did a great job. From Friday, Saturday, to now the cookout. You can see everybody together. I couldn't have asked for a better event. Inshallah, our parents did a good job of bringing people together. I think it's our turn now to get the torch and keep it going. So SLPA strongly encourage everyone to continue to join, and inshallah, we're going to keep going together and all about unity. So thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Waxaan maanta kala soo hadlaynaa Atlanta, Georgia. Waa maalintii saddexaad ee la xidhiyay xafladeennii SLPA conference oo ku dhacday Atlanta, Georgia. Waxaa joogay iminka 350 qof oo ka kala yimid daafaha kala duwan ee Maraykanka, daafaha kala duwan ee Canada, Ingiriiska laga yimid, waddanka laga yimid. Alxamdulillah, si aad u wanaagsan buu ugu dhacay. Tiimkuna nala shaqeynay waxayn 40 si aad u qurux badan ayay wada shaqeeyeen. hawshana si fiican bay nagu dhamaatay marka waxaan rajeynayaa sanadka dambe inaad nagala soo qayb gashiin magaalada wali lama caymin ama lama doorin laakiin social media nagala socda website-keena nagala socda myslpa.org halka baad xogta oo dhan ku wada helaysiin soo dhawaada aad baad u mahadsantihiin asalaamu
aad baad
calaykum
u mahadsantihiin. Thank you.